Columbia University disciplining more than 70 students. This over their involvement in anti-Israeli protests on campus, including the Butler Library takeover in May of this year. Alexis McAdams been on the story from the beginning. She joins us again today in New York City with more now. Good morning to you.
Bill, good morning. You want to know who was watching these protests closer than anyone? That would be President Trump. He told me the other day he was livid that these schools weren't doing enough to stop it. And now sources tell me that most of these students at Columbia were suspended or expelled. They're taking action months later for participating in protests that happened over the spring. It comes as former Columbia student activist Mahmoud Khalil was in Washington, D.C. yesterday, going from the campus out to Capitol Hill and meeting with at least a half dozen Democratic senators. Khalil was adamant that he's not going to let the Trump administration silence him, and he's not going to condemn Hamas. Watch.
Just to be clear here, though, do you specifically condemn Hamas, a designated terrorist organization in the United States?
I condemn the killing of all civilians, full stop. But what I don't want to get into is no, I am very clear with condemning all civilians. It's disingenuous to ask about condemning Hamas.
So I think they were looking for a yes or a no there. But Khalil was arrested by ICE back in March and was held for months at an ICE detention facility in Louisiana. He was trying to get out, and the Syrian-born national is now in the streets. He was taken into custody after leading pro-Palestinian protests on campus. The feds wanted to deport him because they said he's a green card holder who was participating in activities that align with Hamas. But a judge says he had to be released. DHS says if he doesn't like the United States, self-deport.
Three times he was asked by CNN if he condemns Hamas. That should be the easiest question in the world. This is an evil regime, an evil organization that kills Americans, that kills Jews.
The protests at Columbia went on for months. You can see it on your screen. Those are 4 different times that we were out there for so many of these protests. It happened for more than a year, and it really fueled President Trump's battle with Ivy League schools. He used those images to accuse higher education of allowing anti-Semitism to run rampant on campus. Sources tell me Columbia is back at the table, Bill. They're trying to get that federal funding back because it's so much money and the school says they need it. But it's up to President Trump if there will be a deal, Bill.
Okay, Alexis, nice to see you again on that story. More to come. Thanks for coming on. Nice to see you there, Jillian.
All right, for more on this, let's bring in Fox News contributor Mary Catherine Ham joining us from Washington. How you doing? Good
nice to see you.
So let's go through this real quick before we get into the interview where he refused to condemn Hamas. This is a series of responses from lawmakers on Capitol Hill yesterday after meeting with him. Okay, ready? Ayanna Pressley says, Mahmoud Khalil is a gentle soul, a kind, gentle soul who cares deeply about others' humanity, and his abduction, detention, and ongoing persecution by the Trump admin is egregious. Summer Lee says our institutions shouldn't fuel an authoritative regime by suppressing dissent, and we must continue fighting back. And here's Bernie Sanders. We must not allow Trump to destroy the First Amendment and freedom to dissent. All right, this is the backdrop for that interview that we all watched or have watched clips of since it aired live.
Yeah, this press tour is going about as well as Hunter Biden's. I think, look, Democrats have to make a decision about whether they want this guy to be their rock star, and all of them meet with him, and then he goes on CNN. You can imagine them watching in their offices, like, just say the thing, just say the thing, just say the thing, just say you don't like Hamas. He won't say it because he's head of Columbia University Apartheid Divest, which backs armed conflict by Hamas, calling it armed resistance, and they also call for the eradication of the West. So, like, he's not on board. He's not on board with this country. He's not on board with the West. He's not on board with condemning Hamas, period. That's why he wouldn't say it. So I think this gets, like, elided because they want to say that this is just dissent. But in fact, the organization that he headed was occupying buildings, was doing illegal things, was leading the harassment of Jews on campus, right? There are things here that are outside of the realm of speech. I think there is a test here over whether, with a legal resident, the government has the power to kick him out based on speech-related issues, right? But they've added another charge, which is that he lied on his green card application, I believe. And these things are worth considering. Like, what are the rules for expelling somebody who is outwardly saying, I do not support America and I support its enemies? Like, should we have a discussion about what the limitations are on that?
And I'm going to incite other people to do the same.
And on that point, MK, I mean, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been very clear. I mean, you're not entitled to being here. It's a privilege. Do you think that interview yesterday just increased his chances of being deported?
Yeah, look, this is going to work its way through the courts, and I think it's important too, because we, A, do want to protect people's speech rights, and B, want to know what the limitations are for the government tolerating people who outwardly oppose the country and support its enemies. Like, that seems like a problem. And most Americans are on board with that. I think Democrats again and again are not vetting the people that they are raising up as these rock stars, or they just agree with them and they're like, it's enough. We don't mind that he doesn't condemn Hamas as long as he does condemn Trump. And by the way, the people they're choosing as rock stars notably are not angel parents who have lost children to illegal immigrants in this country, or Americans like Edan Alexander who have been returned from Gaza, who were in captivity, or any of the other Americans who Trump has gotten back from other countries, right? They don't lift those people up, and those people see that, and Americans see that, and they wonder why they prioritize people who are not Americans over them.
I would just make this point. Let me jump in, Jillian. Kudos to CNN for trying 3 times to get the answer out of him. I think there was one more opportunity because they talked over each other a little bit. It was, I've tried several times now to ask you whether or not you condemn the actions of Hamas. And is your answer yes or no? And that would have been free and clear and easily understood.
Yes.
He
didn't want that
wasn't going
opportunity.
to say it.
Yeah. He didn't say it because he didn't want to say it. That's the fact.
True.
Yeah.
No. Well said. Real quick before we let you go, want to get your reaction. Taking a quick hard turn. Here's Byron Donalds, Congressman, on with Bill. Want to get your reaction.
Hunter Biden has no credibility. If he wants to continue to talk on behalf of his father and on behalf of the administration, please be my guest, because what it proves again and again is that they covered up the fact that his dad, the former president, did not have the capabilities to do his job, and that family and that White House covered it up to retain power. Where was Kamala Harris in all this? She was number 2. She was the vice president. She should be coming in to answer a lot of questions.
What do you think?
Keep talking, Hunter. He's not a careful man. We're going to find out some things because he's not going to plead the fifth, and he's just going to keep mouthing off, and I welcome it.
You say he's not a careful man. That's delicately stated.
Thank you.
MK, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on today.
Have a good one.
Talk soon. You too.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.